Okay guys, welcome back to what is episode 9 of our Space Hopper game. In today's episode we are going to be carrying on with adding in the trying to get the double jump to work for our astronaut, so that when you jump off of a platform you have the option to jump again while you're in mid-air, or mid-space I guess in this game. But that's what we're going to be working today, and depending on how long that takes us we might jump onto, well, let's have a look here and see what is on our list. So making the astronaut jump twice, or maximum of 2 times, and then we might add, depending on how long that takes us, we might add in the button that allows you to start the game when you launch the game, just so that the game doesn't continuously carry on even after you have hit the out of bounds area, which we added, which I believe was in the previous episode. Yeah, the trigger box that triggers the out of bounds and is supposed to stop the game. So that is what we have scheduled for today's episode, so let's jump in here and see if we can get it going. So if we switch to our game scene, or not game window, and play the game quick, we should be able to see the game works fine. You can jump onto the next platform, and I think the okay, first of all, let me just do something quick. So for testing purposes, before I started recording this, I actually shifted all of this down, and then I stopped the platforms from moving just so I could see if something was working or not. So I forgot to put that back, so let's do this. Let's put them back, and then we can jump back into the game and see if everything works. Okay, so now you can see that the game does work. If you jump on a platform you get an extra point added to your score, but the problem is you can just continuously jump, which makes the game pretty much like you can't really die, because if you just fall off the platform you just jump until the next one. That is what we don't want. We want the astronaut to only jump a maximum of 2 times. So let us start by first of all selecting all of these and shifting them down again so we can test it and see if it works. And then what we want to do is we want to jump into our code here, and for our platforms, I think it's in the platform class, yeah, we want to go ahead and comment this line out, and that line is the only line that makes the platforms go from the top of the screen down. So we want to comment that out so that they don't move. We're only going to do that to test the platforms, and then we want to go and start working on our double jump. So I think, if I can remember correctly, we are going to do this in our astronaut class, or the majority of the coding is going to be done in our we could probably do all of it in our jump here. So first of all, the first thing we want to do is we want to create a private boolean. So here let's say private boolean, and this is going to be our double jump boolean, and we will set that in our update here. So in here we want to go and say, let me just bring this up quick. So in here we want to go and say if input, well, first of all we want to check if the astronaut is grounded, and if you remember where was it, in our collider here, where did it, here in our on collision enter, whenever we hit a platform, that is the top collider, which is this one, I think. Where is it? Sorry, it's an astronaut. So when we hit our collider here, with this top one here, this is going to register our astronaut to be grounded, and that's where we do it in our on collision enter 2D function here on the platform collider. So we can use that by simply saying global, because this is a global variable that we added into our global class. So here we can go and say, we can say if global.is is grounded is equal to true, and the input input dot get button, jump button, so that is whenever you press the space bar. So here, let's read this again quick. So if the astronaut is grounded and you are not pressing the jump button, so let's add in an exclamation mark there, so that means not. So if the astronaut is not grounded and you're not pressing the jump button, i.e. the spacebar, we can go and say double jump is equal to false, because obviously you're grounded, which means you are not in the air, so which means you can go ahead and double jump if you want to, or you can go ahead and jump, and then after you've jumped the first time you can go ahead and double jump. So that's fine like that, we'll leave that like that, we'll go ahead and save that. And then the next thing, we need to change our jump function here. So here at the moment it allows you to jump multiple times, which is not what we want. We want to go ahead and change that, so we need to add in some if statements. So the first one is we want to say, or we can leave this like this probably, shift that up a bit. So if we press our spacebar, we go ahead and do whatever's in here, but we need to add in a second restriction here, and that is to say if our astronaut is grounded, so if global dot is grounded or double jump is equal to true, then we can go ahead and cut this out and paste that in there like that. So now I think what we need to do in here is we can get rid of this, because we'll add this global is grounded to a different function, so that whenever we've jumped we go ahead and set our is grounded is back to false. So we can go, actually we could probably we'll leave it in there for now and see if it works. If not, we'll go back to the previous way. But in here we need to go and say double jump is equal to the opposite of double jump. So if you were not double jumping and you go ahead and double jump, it's going to set double jump to that you are jumping. Yeah, so that's what that does. So we can go ahead and save that, and we can hopefully jump into Unity here. Wait for this to build our scripts and just reload all the new stuff that we've just done. And then the next thing we want to do is play the game and see what happens. So if we press play, hopefully this will work the first time, because that'll be great. So let's go ahead, and you won't see the platforms move or anything because we commented that out just to test things. So we can see that we can only jump once now whenever we are on the platform. So you can't jump twice anymore, or at the moment. But we have, by the looks of it, stopped the continuous jumping, so that's a good start. So let's jump back into here and see what else we have to do. Okay, so here we have double jump is equal to false if global is grounded and input. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this here quickly, and I'm going to say get button down, and then let's say jump button like that. That should be fine with an extra bracket like that just to close it off. So we'll save that, and then let's save that and jump back into Unity and see if that works. Hopefully that makes a little bit of a difference. Not that it should, but let's play the game and see if we have any luck. So play the game. We need to. Okay, so ignore that for now. That's just because we commented out that line that makes our platforms move from the top to the bottom. So if we play the game and we press the spacebar, we can now double jump, which works perfectly fine. So you can see if we can move around on the platform, and we can jump once and we can jump again, but if I press space button again, we can no longer jump. So that's good, that's working nicely. So let's go ahead and go back to, where was it, our platform here, and we can go back and uncomment that. So take away the two, whatever those things are called, I can't remember, I've gone blank. But we'll take the comment away, and then we'll jump back into the game. And now let's try and play the game while the platforms move and see if it's any good. So that should, by taking away the unlimited amount of jumping you can do, that really should make the game a little bit harder, because if you make a mistake and you've already used up your second jump and you have no choice but to fall all the way down to the bottom of the screen, obviously the game will stop. So that is kind of good. So that's good. You can see that you can jump twice but not more than once. Well, sorry, not more than twice. So I can jump onto there, and then I can, obviously that's the gap that you can see there is because we moved the platforms down a bit. So let's see if we can fix that. First of all, let's go back to our scene window here, and we can zoom out. And I'm going to select our astronaut and all of our platforms together, and we'll shift them up a little bit so we can hopefully jump onto the new platforms that have been spawned into the scene. And that should be it for our double jump at the moment, and if anything comes up in the future we will go ahead and fix them. We can double, oh, okay, so we can double jump onto there, double jump onto these guys if you can make it, there we go, double, or single jump there, double jump onto that one, single jump that one, single jump that one. Okay, so you get it. So as long as you double jump, or you use your two jumps and you don't hit a platform, you will go flying down into the trigger box at the bottom there. So that's working nicely. So let's see what's next on the list. So we can take that off because we finished that. The next one is to work on the start button. Okay, so let's think. What we need to do is we need to add in a button that starts the game. So let's see, how are we going to do this? So we need to add maybe like a little button over here with like a panel at the back that like blows out the game, and then when you press play it removes the panel and the button and then plays the game. So let's go ahead and do that. So what we want to do is in our canvas we can go and expand that. We can create a new UI panel. There we go. So that's going to put like a grayish panel on top of the game, and here we will say, we'll call this start panel, like that. And then on that panel let us go and add in a button, wherever that is, button, there we go. So that is going to be our play button, like that, name that like that, and then we can change the text of it, so we'll say play. And then what we could do is we could change, actually we should probably just make one of those buttons as the same as our pause button. Do we have any of those? Platform, no. Okay, so we don't have that, but for now we'll just leave it like that. We will change the background of our panel, so let's go and make it like a dark color, maybe like that. Or should we make it light? We'll make it reddish. Yeah, well, let's make, just because the overall theme of the game is like a bluish color, we'll make it a darkish color, I think. I don't know if that looks good. I don't know, we'll leave it like that for now, not important. And then for the background we'll make it a greenish color maybe, or like a light blue, like that. Yeah, we'll leave it like that. And then we will change the height of it to be double what it is, and then the width to be about 200. Then we'll set the text to about 30, and we'll probably make it bold. We are going to replace it with a a picture, but for now we'll just leave it like that. So let us go and, do we have a script for this? UI manager. So we do have a UI manager script that we can use. So in here we can simply add in a public method called play game, just like that. So we'll save that, go back into Unity, and then we just need to drag in that method into our button. So when that loads, we can go ahead and click on the play button when it comes up, and then we can expand that, and we can add in an on-click event here, and we can drag in our UI manager into that box, and then we can choose from our UI manager. Let's go and press the play game method. So whenever that this button is pressed, that method is going to be called. So in here we want to go ahead and disable the panel, and then we also want to go and play the game. Okay, cool. So let's see. First of all, we need to figure out what is first called when the game starts. So what we want to do is we want to pause the entire game. So let's go to our global method here, and let's add in a pause boolean. So let's say, hold on, we should have this in our, okay, we don't, because we're just saying the timescale is equal to 0, which pauses the game. So we'll carry on with that theme. So what we will do instead is we will say play the game. So how do we want to do this? So let's see, astronaut update. We need to pause all at all. We need to. Okay, so let's do this like this. So we'll start off with the panel being dismissed. So here we need a reference to this panel. So let's go and say serialized field private. What is it? A transform? I think it is transform panel. So in here we want to say panel dot set. What was it? Game object dot set active to false. So when we press the play button, we're going to dismiss this panel by setting it to equal to false. So it's going to be set inactive, in other words. And then we also want to make sure the game is playing. So we will say time scale is equal to 1, which means the game will play. So let's say we'll save that, and we will, by dismissing our panel, it should dismiss our button as well, because the button is on the panel. So let's see if we play the game, what happens. The astronaut and the panels are still going to be moving, but we will deal with that when we figure out what happens when we press the play button. So let's play the game and see what exactly happens here. So if we press play, when it loads, we'll press play. Okay, so nothing happens because we need to go ahead and drag in our start panel into this reference there. So we've done that. Let's go ahead and play the game again, and that should be cleared. So now, hopefully, when we press this button, the panel gets dismissed, which it does. So that gets dismissed. Okay, cool. So now, as you can see, whenever we die, or whenever you hit that trigger box, you can see that this panel gets set back to true, and that is because the entire scene has just been reloaded. So what we want to do here is we want to say, just to make this easier, I am going to add in a is paused variable here. So we'll say public static boolean is paused, like that. We'll set that equal to true, because when you start the game, obviously the game is going to be paused at the beginning. And so in our platform here, we are going to check, before we move the platforms, we will check if global dot is not is grounded, rather is paused, then we can or rather if the game is not paused, then we can go ahead and move the panel. So we'll add that into there. And then where else do we need to add that into? Let's see, astronaut. So we also want to add that into here. So if global dot is paused, or rather is not paused, keep forgetting to add that in the beginning. So if the game is not paused, then we will allow the player to go ahead and move the astronaut, as well as make the astronaut jump. So we'll go ahead and save that, and then platform collider, that shouldn't be a problem. UI manager shouldn't be a problem. But in here we need to go ahead and set the is paused button to true or false whenever we pause the game. So if we pause the game, which is this one, so if when we set the timescale is equal to 0, let's go and say global dot is paused is equal to true, and the opposite of when we resume the game. So we'll set the is paused is equal to false, like that. So that's fine. So whenever we play the game here, we also want to go ahead and set is paused is equal to false. So the game will be in play, timescale will be equal to 1, which means the game is no longer frozen, and the player can get on with playing the game. So we'll save that and we'll jump back into Unity. Hopefully that works, and if that does work, then I think that will be it for this episode. So hopefully this works, and then if it does, then that will probably be the smoothest episode we've had so far. Nothing's gone wrong, nothing's taken a long time to get working. So let's play the game. Hopefully nothing moves, and hopefully the astronaut stays in one place, the platforms also stay in one place, and just nothing happens. Okay, so our astronaut is still moving, but if we press we press space and nothing happens, we can move our astronaut and nothing happens. But if we press play, then the game starts, which is fine. Okay, so we also need to go and start. Okay, so let's do this. So we need to fix that. So first of all, we need to go to our platforms, wherever that is, or our spawner class, because we only want the platforms to spawn when the game is in play. So in our update here, we can go ahead and do the same thing by saying if the game is not paused, so we'll add an exclamation mark first, and then we'll say global dot is paused. Then we can go ahead and do all of that. So we'll save that. So now that should be a fix for the game, and that should now stop our platforms from spawning. We should be able to see that in our inspector here, or our hierarchy. So we'll play the game, and we should no longer see our platforms being spawned at the beginning. So if we press play, wait for it to load, and then let's see, sample game. So nothing is being spawned, which is good. You can see if we go into our scene view here, you can see nothing at the top here has been spawned, so no new platforms have been added to the scene, which is great. So that's good. So if we play the game, well, we're not really playing the game, so let's test the game. Ignore what I just said, because we weren't in play mode. So hopefully nothing over here gets added. So ignore the astronaut falling for now, because we need to fix that later on. But like I said, when we're in play mode, nothing at the top here, so no new platforms are getting added, so that's exactly what we want. So if we go into the game mode here and we press play, we can still double jump onto new platforms, or we can still play the game as normal. So that's good. So that's working nicely, but now I'm gonna die and just see what happens. Okay, so when we do die, we need to set the game, the time scale back to 0. So it's the out of bounds script, restart game on collision. Okay, so here let's go and say, in here we will just say, what is it, time scale is equal to 0, and then we will also say global dot is paused is equal to true, because we want to go ahead and pause the game whenever you die, so that the game doesn't continuously go on forever. So that should be fine. And I think that will wrap it up for this episode. We'll go ahead and fix this issue with our astronaut I'll show you now. Whenever we start the game, the astronaut, because of gravity, the astronaut I think is falling onto this platform. Okay, so nothing happened in there, which is weird, but that's fine. We'll see if it happens later on. If we press play, we can double jump, that's fine. Okay, so that's all good. Okay, so that's fine. That's working nicely. The astronaut is no longer moving, which is good. So let's go ahead and press play, and then we can start the game again. Our number, count, the score, okay, whatever it's called, still working nicely. Let's go ahead and die again. So it all gets set back to the beginning. We can press play again and carry on again. So yeah, I think let's play the game for a bit and see if we come across any buttons, if we can make it. Oh. I think we will add in a, what is it called, like a collectible in the next episode, just to make the game a little bit more interesting. And we might, I'll see if I can look for some, what's it called, some sound that we can add into the game. But for now, I think that's it for this episode. Let's have a look and see what's on the next list. So we've added in that click button to start the game. We also need to go ahead and disable the points. Actually, we might not do that, because I mean, who wants to get 0 points in the game? So at the start of the game, when you land on the first platform, you go ahead and add in 1 point. And then we also want to add in a collectible, and then depending on how that goes, we will add in some sound. But yeah, that is it for this episode. So in the next episode, depending on if I can get some good sound, I will have a look on the internet and see if I can get some platform sounds that sound like platforms that break maybe. And if we add in a collectible, we'll try and add in a sound where when you collect one of the collectibles. So I'll have a look online and see if I can get any of those. But for now, I think that's it for this episode. If you enjoyed this video, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And then, yeah, don't forget to like the videos if you like them, and I will see you in Friday's episode. But yeah, enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Up all night by myself, trying to think of ways to you.